The following content has been generated with artificial intelligence under minimal human supervision. The data presented may contain errors or inaccuracies. The opinions expressed in this content do not necessarily reflect the vision, position, or values of DigiAll. We recommend verifying critical information with additional sources before making decisions based on this content.
Welcome to DigiAll Tech News. Today is November 22nd, 2025. I'm Kylie Brooks, and this is where technology becomes clear and engaging. And folks, we've got quite a week to talk about. AI going off the rails, hackers having a field day, and Bitcoin? Well, let's just say crypto investors are not having a good time right now. Let me give you the rundown of what's making waves in tech today. Google's AI image generator is creating conspiracy theory fuel like it's going out of style. CrowdStrike fires an insider who allegedly handed over company secrets to notorious hackers. 4 people indicted for smuggling advanced Nvidia chips to China, potentially facing decades in prison. A massive supply chain hack hits over 200 companies through a breach at Gainsight. Android and Apple finally play nice. Pixel 10 phones can now share files directly with iPhones. And Bitcoin crashes below $81,000, wiping out over $1 trillion from crypto markets. Okay, so let's start with Google's Nano Banana Pro, because honestly, this one's wild. The Verge did some testing, and what they found is pretty concerning. Google's Gemini-powered image generator, it's basically creating historical conspiracy theory images on demand. We're talking photorealistic images of a second shooter at JFK's assassination, planes hitting the Twin Towers with cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, even Pikachu at Tiananmen Square. And here's the kicker. The AI is adding accurate historical details like dates and era-specific elements without any pushback. You could even swap a camera for a rifle with a simple follow-up prompt. Now, Google designed Gemini to block explicit violence and harm to real figures, but these guardrails? They're clearly not strong enough. The Verge reached out to Google for comment. Crickets. No response. This is Google's maximally helpful policy backfiring in real time, and it raises serious questions about AI safety and content moderation. Now let's talk cybersecurity, because this week has been rough. CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity firm that's supposed to protect companies, just confirmed they fired what they're calling a suspicious insider last month. This employee allegedly shared information about the company with Scattered Lapsus Hunters, a notorious hacking collective. The hackers posted screenshots on Telegram showing what they claim is insider access to CrowdStrike systems. We're talking dashboards, internal app access, the works. They say they got in through a breach at Gainsight, a customer relationship management company. But here's where it gets interesting. CrowdStrike is calling their claims false. They say they terminated the insider after he was caught sharing pictures of his computer screen externally, but that their systems were never actually compromised and customers stayed protected. They've handed the case over to law enforcement. So was this an attempted breach that got stopped or damage control? Time will tell. Speaking of things going wrong, the Justice Department just unsealed indictments against 4 people for illegally exporting advanced Nvidia GPUs to China. This is a big deal. We're talking about charges for conspiracy to violate export controls, smuggling, and money laundering. The defendants include 2 US citizens and 2 Chinese nationals, and they're facing potential decades in prison plus forfeiture of nearly $4 million. Here's how the scheme worked. They falsified documents, created fake contracts, and deceived authorities to ship restricted chips. They successfully got 400 Nvidia A100 GPUs to China through Malaysia and Thailand between October last year and January. Authorities caught on and intercepted 2 more shipments, 10 supercomputers with H100 GPUs and 50 H200 GPUs. They used a Florida real estate company as a front, moving wire transfers ranging from $237,000 to over $1 million. This case shows how seriously the US is taking those 2022 export restrictions designed to limit China's military AI capabilities. One of the defendants even had text messages talking about his father doing similar work for the Chinese Communist Party. 3 are in detention, 1 was released on bond. And that CrowdStrike story? It's connected to something even bigger. Google just confirmed that hackers stole Salesforce stored data from over 200 companies in a supply chain attack through Gainsight apps. Salesforce disclosed the breach yesterday without naming victims, but Google's threat intelligence group says they're aware of more than 200 potentially affected Salesforce instances. The same Scattered Lapsus Hunters group is claiming responsibility for hacks on Atlassian, DocuSign, F5, GitLab, LinkedIn, Malwarebytes, SonicWall, Thomson Reuters, and Verizon. Now, some of these companies are denying impact. Verizon called the claim unsubstantiated. DocuSign says they found no compromise but terminated Gainsight integrations anyway as a precaution. Here's the technical part. The hackers accessed Gainsight through a prior breach at SalesLoft and Drift, stealing authentication tokens that let them breach linked Salesforce instances. Gainsight was actually a victim first, then became the vector for attacking others. Salesforce is distancing itself, saying there was no platform vulnerability, and they've revoked Gainsight app tokens and are notifying affected customers. The hacker group is planning to launch an extortion website next week. This is supply chain security nightmare territory, folks. Okay, let's take a breath and talk about something actually positive for a change. Google just announced that Pixel 10 phones can now use Android's Quick Share with Apple's AirDrop. Yes, you heard that right. Seamless file and photo sharing between Android and iOS devices. Finally, this is initially limited to Pixel 10 phones, but Google plans to extend it to other Android devices in the future. Here's how it works. Pixel 10 users can share content directly with iPhones, iPads, and Macs, as long as the receiving Apple device has AirDrop visibility set to everyone for 10 minutes to allow transfers from non-contacts. And it goes both ways. Android devices can receive files from Apple devices if Quick Share is set to everyone for 10 minutes, or placed in receive mode. Now here's what's interesting. Google developed this independently, without Apple's direct involvement. They had their own privacy and security teams vet it, plus a third-party security firm pen test the solution. We haven't heard any official response from Apple yet, but this is a real step toward better interoperability between ecosystems, even if it raises questions about how Apple feels about Google reverse engineering their protocol. And finally, let's talk about Bitcoin because crypto investors are having a really rough week. Bitcoin plunged as low as $80,160 yesterday, erasing a brief rebound and extending a month-long slide that has wiped out over $1.4 trillion from the overall cryptocurrency market. To put that in perspective, Bitcoin is now trading more than 30% below its October peak, and total crypto market cap has dipped below $3 trillion. This feels like April's lows all over again, which were triggered by President Trump's trade tariffs unsettling global risk assets. As of this report, Bitcoin had clawed back slightly to around $82,689, but investor fear is dominating. Here's what's driving the sell-off. BlackRock clients withdrew $355 million from the iShares Bitcoin Trust, marking the fund's worst month since February. And it's spilling over to traditional markets too. The Nasdaq fell 2.1%, S&P 500 declined 1.5%, Dow Jones dropped 380 points. Economist Devereux told the Financial Times that markets might be too optimistic about Federal Reserve rate cuts, suggesting we'll only see one or two more before rates normalize by mid-2026. That's fueling a risk-off sentiment across the board. Crypto's volatility is back with a vengeance. So what are we looking at here? AI safety guardrails that clearly need work, a cybersecurity landscape that's looking more vulnerable than ever with supply chain attacks becoming the norm, export controls being actively violated at scale, some rare good news on platform interoperability, and crypto markets in turmoil. The common thread? Technology is moving fast, and the systems we've built to govern it, secure it, and regulate it are struggling to keep up. These aren't just tech stories, they're stories about trust, security, and how we manage increasingly powerful tools. We'll be watching how these develop, especially that Gainsight breach and what comes out of the extortion website the hackers are planning. Thank you for staying informed with Digital Tech News. We'll be back with more updates as they develop.